Hello and welcome back to another episode of Swinging at Shins, your Premier League podcast from across the pond or stateside if you feel fancy. Today we have Rhett. Rhett, how are you doing?
Still trying to figure out what that was right before we started, but apart from that, I'm doing all right.
You know, I tried a 3, 2, 1 countdown with my hands, and which is what I normally did, but I went 3, 2, and I don't know what happened there. So, another week of
Fair enough.
Another week of
I took a drink and I looked away at the Liverpool Southampton game, and all I just get is what hands? Let's try that again. And I was like, well, I don't. How did we screw this up, guys? We are not professionals. We don't get paid.
No, this is for the joy of it, and we enjoy telling how we feel about telling you how we feel about Premier League soccer and its state that it's currently in. And
this is mostly so that I get to stay with my wife. I get it all out here, and then she doesn't have to hear about it the rest of the week, and everybody's happier.
Blow off some steam. That's really what it is for.
She doesn't have to hear when I'm happy, doesn't have to hear when I'm sad. She just eventually, oh, hey, how they doing? Yeah.
They did.
They did. Things happened.
On today's podcast, we have we're going to go through the scores. We are also going to talk a smidget about the Carabao Cup because it happened and it was a couple of Premier League teams. We're going to talk about the revenge game of Arsenal Newcastle. We're going to talk about Everton's point reduction on their deduction and
reduction on the deduction.
Yeah, you like that?
You went through that real well.
Thank you. I didn't even try. Anyway.
That's because you didn't think about it. You trip over your own name because you're thinking about it. When you don't think about it, you just say it.
That's true. And the Manchester Derby is happening on Matchday 27, so we'll get to that.
So if you ever want to see a public execution this weekend.
Yeah, well, yep. Anyway, the Matchday 26 started with Liverpool and Luton Town on Wednesday. It was a midweek matchup.
That's because they're not in the Champions League.
Yeah, Liverpool slaughtered, in some sense, Luton Town, although Luton Town did have the lead at one point.
That was a weird match. Luton Town had the lead for most of the match.
Uh-huh.
They went up 1-0 early, and I was foolish enough to believe. And then it was suddenly 4-1.
Yeah, like real hot, real quick. Melted. Unfortunately for Luton Town, which I guess, like, if you look at it in a sense, they did control most of the match. By control, I mean lead most of the match, and then just the last 20 minutes just failed on you, and that
it was a little bit more than that. A Van Dijk corner opened it up. Gakpo scored 2 minutes later.
And
then Diaz, and then Elliott, and then it just. Also, it's Anfield, and I think Luton should be really happy that they went in, scored a 12th minute goal, and held it till the 56th minute at Anfield.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. It's that Luton Town really, looking at the scoreline, they shouldn't feel upset that they lost 4-1. They should look at the fact that they held as long as they did at Anfield.
Yeah, and also be looking at defense if they stay up.
Well, yes, that's agreeable. In Saturday's matchups, Aston Villa beat Forest 4-2. Brighton drew even with Everton, which is a surprise there. I really thought, Brighton at home would handle Everton, but they got diced a little bit, so that'll happen.
Also, the red card.
That's true too. Oh, yes, I did. I watched these games a couple days ago, so I kind of lose a little bit what happens there. So, Dunk actually went and saved the day on them, their captain there. Crystal Palace needed help winning as well at home, 3-0 with their new manager, so he picks up early 3 points. And as good as that scoreline is, they looked bad. They still looked bad. And I know they're missing Eze, and I know they're missing Elise, but Burnley went down to 10 men in, I think, the 35th.
Yep.
And Crystal Palace just couldn't get the lead until the 68th minute with Chris Richards scoring a goal.
No, I know we're going to talk about new manager bump, or at least no more old manager bump. But right now, Burnley is in shambles.
Yeah, they picked a good team to really have that bounce for Oliver.
It's funny because that is kind of what happened with Hodgson when he took over from Vieira, and everyone's like, "Well, look at the run of games. Of course, he's going to perform." And now he's out, and it's like, "Well, look at this game. Of course, they were going to win this one."
Yeah, right. So, good set for him. Do you? I know you're an Eintracht fan, Rhett. Is this? And you might have a little bit more insight than I will. Oliver Glasner, better, worse, the same?
I don't know if better is the right word.
Improvement?
I wasn't in love with him at Eintracht. I think he was fine. Frankfurt was one of those, and I follow Frankfurt depending on how closely. I did not follow them very closely over the past couple of years. Niko Kovac never should have left. It was that simple. He got poached by Bayern and then fell apart at Bayern, and then the whole thing went on with that. He averaged 1.5 points a game. He had 1.7 at Wolfsburg. You can make a lot of deductions and choices and saying what that is. 39 wins, 29 draws, 29 losses. Frankfurt went through a bunch at the time. Herdecki left. Sebastian Haller left. They had it wasn't Kovacic, I don't think. There was another really good creative player up top for them that was a Kovic or something of that name that was very good. And all those guys left at the same time, right? So it is one of those where I can see that it's not necessarily good for him because he's not stepping into a team that's backing him fully. He's stepping into a team that's a transitional team.
Yeah.
Eintracht in a lot of ways is very much like West Ham. They've had some local success. And heck, they've even had a little bit of success in Europe, although not a lot, right? But they're not one of the big teams. You'll never see them with Dortmund or Bayern, just like you'd never see West Ham with City or Liverpool.
Sure. So it's like a lateral. It's a lateral, and
I think it's a move up because they're thinking about the future.
Sure, which is better than what they've done in the recent years. So,
Roy Hodgson was always going to be a caretaker.
Yeah,
just was. It was one of those. To get him through last season was fine. The fact that he was still managing into February of this season is a little bit head scratching.
They definitely needed to do something, and they went and did it, and they got 3 points out of that match. So, they're not going currently south, and they're sitting where they normally sit at the end of the season at the current situation. They're
not going down. So
no. Moving down to the next match, United, the Manchester, lose 1-2 against Fulham. Iwobi looked like an absolute. This whole Fulham team actually
once a gunner, always a gunner. Him and Burns, man.
This Fulham team looked way more productive and seemed to carry had more attacking ability and power than United did. And the only way that United had any type of answer to it is if they were on a counter. There was really nothing. They were just getting
United's defense is awful. Jamie Carragher was 100% correct. I don't know if you heard what he said, but Eric Ten Hag got all heard about it. They're trying to do a high block, high pressure. They're not athletic enough. Maguire and Varane are not the guys that you can get away with.
No.
Lindelof and Dalot aren't that good. I still don't trust Onana. You cannot tell me that De Gea would be performing worse than Onana right now. I understand the logic, but it was incomplete logic when they decided to go get him. Casemiro came off in the 53rd minute, and he was actually having a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
Manu, no. Forsen, no. Also came off in the 53rd minute. I mean, early subs. Rashford's up top. That's not his better position. Also, Fulham is not a bad side. The way that United is trying to play does not make sense to me.
Right, I agree. And we've discussed. I think their best style of attack is sit back and wait for a counter, and that's okay. But the United fans won't take that. They want that full press, high attack, high octane, score a bunch of goals, and they don't have that capability with their midfield and the defense that they have. They'll just run them into the dirt, and they'll find opponents will find open spaces in between the midfield lines, break it, and then they have their own counter. And good luck dealing with that with Varane and Maguire. It's just not going to happen. And then they had Lindelof starting out on the left back. And I know because Luke Shaw is injured, I think he's close to being done for the season, to be honest. But
I know, but again, now you're back to complete lack of depth.
Yeah.
And again, we've said this.
Excuse me. It's skill. They don't have enough skill in the back.
They don't.
Like, I would say one thing if these were their third, fourth string starters, but it's not. This is their number one, number two right here.
Well, and think about where they would be if Scott McTominay didn't decide to have a couple wonder games.
Oh my goodness, right?
They would be lower. They would probably be even with Brighton.
So the Villa match.
They have a goal difference of 0.
Yep.
And we've talked about this a couple of times. I know we're going to get into matches and breakdown, and I agree with you. I don't understand how this United team, I said it last week, I do not understand how this United team beat Villa twice. That makes no sense. But anyway, you have to play. And it's something that like Arteta learned. It's something that Pep's never had to deal with. I would love to have Pep have to deal with this. It's something that Jurgen does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Until you get the players you want, you have to play the best way with the players you have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Ten Hag does not do that.
Not even a little bit.
This is not the best way to play with these guys.
Square peg and
there's a way to play with these guys, and it is Rashford and Garnacho need to do their best, like Heung-min Son and Harry Kane impressions. Fernandez is a very good creative midfielder, especially on a counter. I could see all of that happening when he's not busy trying to yell at the ref or get a shit foul. He's actually a very good soccer player.
I agree.
But instead, they're trying to do anything but that. You are not City, you're not Liverpool, you're not Arsenal. Nor do I think you necessarily want to be.
I don't think they'd have the capability to. So,
well, Arsenal's the only team that's ever been able to play City-like in the past decade. And that's only because Arteta has been at City for years while they were doing it. When Liverpool beat them, they beat them with heavy metal football. It was a very different style. It was very good.
No, I agree.
And it was just as good. Like it's a different way to play, right? And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about playing styles.
Yeah.
Liverpool never played the same way that City does. Arsenal plays a very similar way to Prime City. Not saying we play as good, but you can see the ideas are the same. The pressing, the holding on in the beginning, the attacking, when we do decide to gegenpress, and Liverpool does gegenpress too, but when we do decide to do that high pressing up the field, United can't do any of that. You can't do that with these guys. Rashford's not disciplined enough. Garnacho's a kid. Bruno is a shit. Casemiro's too old. Varane's too old. I don't even know what to call Maguire. You're playing out the back with Onana? I don't believe it. Who's pushing into the midfield between Lindelof and Dalot for the extra guy? Because none of them.
No. It's
just
a brutal
bad
setup right now. It's a brutal setup, and I think Radcliffe is going to have to do not a complete teardown. He can definitely take some parts and pieces out, but he's going to have to look at that squad and be like, we're going to need to make cuts. We're going to need to make adjustments. What can we do in order to make this team better?
United suffers from the and this is something I love about being a Red Sox fan, because as a Red Sox fan, our ownership doesn't care. We'll do it as much as every fan is screaming right now. But United suffers from the New York Yankee problem. They can never be seen to have a down year. They always have to be trying to compete at the highest level, even when that's not what's best for them in the long term. And right now, pretending buying stopgaps Casemiro was a stopgap. And it worked for the first 20 games even.
Until he got
but where it is now, it's not good. It's not good. And they're so afraid of being seen as rebuilding. And you can't not. You have to do it.
It's like they're waiting for their kids to come through, but they don't have just enough yet in order to wait for the kids to come through, kind of deal. Because you can see,
are the kids going to be put in a position to succeed?
That's true too. Like,
I think the answer is yes, because I trust Ten Hag.
Fair enough. He did well with Ajax with
every single person on his Ajax team basically signed a huge contract, and somehow he ended up with Anthony.
Don't know. It was insane.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I know he backs him 100%, or so he says in the papers and everything. But it's like, do you really though? I don't think so. Moving on to the next match. Bournemouth just couldn't get a goal. They couldn't buy a goal in this match. They lose 0-1 against City. I don't remember how that one actually was scored. It was a Foden early goal. Right, that was actually a dirty. It wasn't even dirty. It was just a rebound cleanup goal. And you just had to be there to score it, kind of deal. So good for a goal scorer to get a poacher to get there. So
this is one of those really interesting ones where, like, it's so easy to say that Bournemouth deserved a goal.
I thought so,
and they did.
I willed it.
I think City deserved 2.
Yeah.
And at that point, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the Bournemouth deserve a goal, sure. But I think if we were going to do what's the most deserving scoreline, it would have been 2-1. Okay, so Ederson doesn't get a clean sheet. Yeah. But the 3 points are the 3 points. You know what I mean? Sure. I think it's a little bit disingenuous to look at it and say, oh, well, Bournemouth deserved a goal in this game. It's like, yeah, but City deserved 2.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair to say. I like what Areola is doing with this squad. It reminds me of a better version of Leeds, where they have the capability of keeping goals to a minimum, but always being competitive throughout the entire match. And I think for a mid-table team, that looks really good. If you're going to be able to stick with the big dogs up top and then beat the clubs around you, you're always going to be somewhere around 10 to 12. And that's exactly where Bournemouth need to sit to be able to progress, get more players. And Marcus Tavernier, I think, is a good player. Dom Solanke, the jury's out from me anyway. Just because
I think he's good.
I think he's great. I just need to see a little more as far as consistency. Not just particularly this season. I need to see it next season as well. Not just like it could be a breakout season where he ends up scoring next year 15 goals again, and then another 15. And then, fine. Solanke, you're a quality striker for me. I think Semenyo is a guy who really is direct, reminds me of kind of like a Pedro Neto kind of type of player, where not as polished, but quick, good with his feet, and he's always willing to drive at the defense. I think that the defense for Bournemouth is a slight issue. They're a little kind of, I don't want to say young, because since he's not really young, and Zabarni, I don't think is also, he's 21, so he's young. Let me look at these actually. 26 and 20 for Kirkez. So they have a youngish defense. There's still some growth for sure, and I think they're stepping in the right direction, Bournemouth.
I like Kirkez. I think
me too.
I don't know if any of these guys are going to be turned into something. I will say this. Here's a hot take. I think if you change Solanke and Tony, I don't think, like, swap teams, I don't think he puts up Tony's numbers, but I think it's close.
So you're saying if Solanke was on
was on Brentford, getting the Brent, yeah. Speaking of, while we're
Go ahead.
While we're on this, we have another Bournemouth thing we have to discuss.
Oh, sure. I actually like this. I was gonna mention it, but I didn't know where to squeeze it in. But yeah, rip it up there.
Do it right now. I'm trying to pull it up. Hold on.
So Bournemouth's badge logo isn't quite the clearest of understanding. Yeah, it is kind of bleh. Honestly, what guy? It's a guy heading the ball, right? That's what, or balancing it.
Not sure it's a guy, but it is someone heading a
Somebody.
ball.
Okay, it is a figure. That is what I want to say. Heading the ball, and it reminds me nothing of what they are. Okay, they're if you're new, their nickname is the
The
Cherries.
Cherries.
So that doesn't remind me of cherries unless you're cherry picking, like you're cherry picking a goal. Still not anything that I would think would be relative to the logo, the team name, your nickname, or anything like that. And this is what they have a potential new logo trademark change, where for listeners, they would get rid of obviously the current one and
the whole thing. Go to a black circle, white background, AFC Bournemouth wrapped around the top in black, the cherries in black on the bottom, $18.99 in the middle, and then around the middle is 2 cherries on a stem, and then there's a third cherry that's really a soccer ball.
I don't mind it as a first draw up, but
yeah.
I think it needs to just get polished a little more.
Yep, that is, and I meant exactly what I said. This is great taste, but bad execution.
Yes, that is true.
It's 100% what it is. It is a good idea. I like what we're heading towards, but I don't like that.
What if they went with like a cherry tree?
I don't even think they need to go to a cherry tree. I think they need to take the idea that they have, and give it some pizzazz, give it some, moxie. Some feng shui.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope that works out for them and they get a good logo because it needs to be updated.
I would be very surprised if they don't do something similar to what Villa did in the long run.
I could see that. I wouldn't be shocked. Next match is Arsenal versus Newcastle. We will get more in depth with this one. On the surface, Arsenal won 4-1 against Newcastle at home. It was pretty much a slaughtering, but we'll jump into that later. Wolves beat Sheffield United 1-0. I think this one also had a red card in it.
Nope.
No, it did not. I was wrong.
No red card in this one.
Neto looked good. Sarabia had that nice little header at the beginning of the game, and Wolves just dominated the rest of the match, and Sheffield United just kind of looked
like the team that's at the bottom.
Yeah, they looked that way. Final match, West Ham beat Brentford 4-2. I actually did not get to watch this match, but I believe I was going to say Bowen had a hell of a day. He picked up a hat trick, so good for him. They've been using him as a de facto striker because what is his name? Mikel Antonio. And I don't even think they have Skamaka anymore, to be honest.
Nope.
They loaned him out.
It was a good get right game for West Ham.
Yeah. After being beaten the piss out of for 2-3 matches in a row, this is definitely in the right get back into the right direction kind of deal. I'm actually nervous about Brentford. I'm going to be honest with you.
Brentford's not looking great right now.
There is a possibility that they could go down. And
with how good Luton's playing, it almost is likely.
I don't know if likely is the right word. It could come up for Luton could do the swap at the end of the season. Is what I'm trying to get at. I think it's going to be an end of the season kind of deal where, Everton did last year, just barely stay up.
I understand. I think Luton, I don't know. I think Luton has enough. Again, second time in a couple minutes I'm using the word, but I think they got enough moxie. I think they got enough in there. So
pizzazz. No, not pizzazz. All right, well, that's your roundup for the scores for Matchday 26. We we'll talk about the Carabao Cup, where Liverpool and Chelsea, the final.
Okay, so I don't want to talk about. Okay, first of all, Raheem Sterling is not a good soccer player. I think he was at one point. I want to believe he was. I remember him in a red jersey a long time ago being good.
He was also good in a light blue jersey.
I remember him being very good in a light blue jersey in the beginning. I don't see it anymore, man. Not good. Also, Jackson, not where you're going to get your goals. Gallagher being rated a 7.9, and this is laughable to me. Cicero should have at least been given a yellow, I think, for the Gravenberch tackle.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go red, but yellow. Palmer, not good enough. None of this is good enough. And I think if you look at FOTMob's player ratings, this is the story of Chelsea. Chilwell 7.2, Colwell 7.2, Disasi 7.4, Gusto 8.1, Caicedo 7.9, Fernandez 7.2, Sterling had a 5.7, Gallagher 7.9, Palmer 7.8, Petrovic 8.2. Petrovic is the only person I think actually deserves that rating. Jackson with a 6.5.
I think it's a little inflated for most of these players except for Petrovic.
Yes, it's entirely inflated. And not only that, they look good, they pass the eye test, they don't fucking score goals, and they don't win games.
They do all the right things except for the final thing.
They do everything except for the perfect, the thing you're supposed to fucking do.
Yeah.
It is amazing how bad. Now, the thing I was going to jump into, the first Van Dijk disallowed goal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's his name? I can see
Endo?
his face. No, not Endo. No, it's a pundit.
Oh.
Keys.
Neville.
I think Richard Keys.
Oh, okay.
Went off about, Arsenal does this all the time on corners. You big dumb idiot. The problem wasn't what Endo did. The problem was that he was offside, and then he did it. You cannot affect the play from an offside position. If he had done it from an onside position, there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone's saying things like tactical foul. Not a foul. Not a foul. He was a man in an offside position who directly affected a goal-scoring play. Mm-hmm. It's got to be called offside. Oh, well, that's real harsh. No, it's not. Literally, he was off by like more than half his body. And he was off on purpose. He was creating separation from Enzo. No, it wasn't Enzo. I forget who was on him. Colwell. Colwell was on Van Dijk, and Endo took out Colwell. And it was just like, Colwell should have tried harder. I absolutely agree. But at that point, once Van Dijk gets that separation, it doesn't matter. That's enough for him to do what he did. But you can't start an offside position. And I thought it was great that Richard Keys used a corner as an example. The one play in soccer, apart from a throw-in, that you cannot be offside for.
Mm-hmm.
Idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
And those people get paid.
Oh! It was just that he was offside. It isn't a foul. He was offside.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, at the end of the day, I thought the better team got it. Full marks to Klopp for this.
Hell yeah. The kids of Liverpool beat the billion-dollar bottle jobs.
And Neville was right with that. I
was going to take no credit. I was immediately going to follow up. That's Neville's statement, not mine. However, it is true.
And that being said, all right, so Joe Gomez came on early, which you never necessarily want to see, especially for Gravenberch, because now that's just another guy to add to the list of injuries that Liverpool has.
The hopeful Liverpool team that was going to try to pull this quadruple off.
They don't have depth. They do not. You can't have enough.
Look at these kids who just went out and did this.
When you have 8 guys injured, I know, but to do it through a Prem run-in and to do it in Europe.
Well, they practically played a Prem team.
So Bradley's young. He played right back. Apart from that, and Kelleher played very well. They didn't have Allison. Apart from that, they had Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Gravenberch, Endo, McAllister, Elliott, Gakpo, and Diaz all start. It wasn't like they played 120 minutes of their under 16s. That being said,
I think it was possible.
Bobby Clark came on in the 72nd minute. Jaden Dans came on the 87th. James McConnell came on the 87th.
And they still got
Samikas came on the 87th and had the weirdest celebration I've ever seen with Van Dijk. I think he tried to have sex with him on the field. And I know, they came on late. No. They played basically a half of football after that because they had stoppage time and they did very well. I think Chelsea played like the team that was putting on a bunch of, under 16s. And that's the issue that I think everyone's coming away with. When you see that happen, you gotta score a goal in extra time.
I think I have the perfect phrase for Chelsea this season and a little bit last season too. And you'll be happy to hear this. They're all fur coat and no trouser.
Yeah,
that's all they are.
They really are.
They get to the penalty box. They dribble around. They'll have so many touches in there, and then do nothing. And
Nkunku came on.
That's it.
It's like Mudryk. Here's the crazy thing, though.
How do Chelsea fans do it? How do they live with this?
Yeah. Years of being on the top when they maybe never shouldn't have been. Which is going to bring me into what I'm going to say about the fans of the next team that we're talking about. I also don't understand the subs from Poch's end. Nkunku on the 67th. I can understand that for Sterling. Sterling was playing like crap. Yeah. You don't bring Mudryk on till the 90th.
That's a little weird.
And Mudryk comes on for Jackson. I don't.
You really want a second striker in that position to try to win the game.
He's not a striker.
Well,
I guess he swapped with Nkunku.
Yep, there you go. That's what I was getting with.
But still, I don't know. I'd argue Nkunku's not a striker based on how
I think Nkunku is a better striker than Jackson.
God, what a horrible area to be. Anyway, we said we were going to talk about this for a minute. It's been over a minute.
Oopsies. Well,
Liverpool are 1 for 1 so far on their quadruple. I will give them that.
Chelsea are 0 for 6 in their last tournament plays in the final.
Yeah, they have lost a lot of finals.
Just going to stab that in there real quick.
Holy shit.
Move on to the big match of this weekend. Arsenal got to not replay. That's the wrong word to use. They revenged themselves.
The reverse fixture.
Avenged themselves.
This reminds me a lot of last year. We had a real tough, hard-fought 0-0 draw. It was at the Emirates, but then the second time we played Newcastle at St. James's Park last year, destroyed them. And then same thing. We had a real hard-fought 1-1 all. Bruno shouldn't have been on the field. I'm still not sure that ball was actually in. Actually, no, we lost that game, didn't we? That was a 1-0 loss. 1-0. Yeah. I'm still not sure that ball was in. I'm not sure that ball wasn't in. I don't know. That's been my point the entire time. This game. You said how did Chelsea fans do it? How did Newcastle fans do it?
Especially this year, though. Newcastle.
How you have been bought by the Saudis, and you have to deal with that. But it's okay because I can close my eyes, and we're gonna win trophies, and everything's looking up. But no, you don't get the Chelsea treatment. You don't get the City treatment. You're currently 10th. Arsenal just slapped you the fuck around. This was bad.
It got bad real quick, too.
Newcastle is the worst performing team versus expectations that I've seen in the Prem in a long time.
Well, they're also giving up the most goals. I can't remember what it was XG.
It was expected goals against. I sent it to you, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. The expected goals in this match, 2.86 to 0.16. They had 3 shots, only 2 on target. Which almost probably shouldn't even happen, to be honest. The one was on target, technically, because Joe Willock has to freaking score.
Yeah.
And good for him. It was a good header.
It was very well worked. And I wasn't even
definition of a consolation goal.
Yeah.
It was the 84th minute, and The first half, if you look at momentum on the first half, it's a wall of red.
Oh God, yeah, and a
It is
little
just,
flip of black.
yeah, there's just the smallest amount of white in it. Arsenal completely, they had more defensive movements, like defensive actions, in the Newcastle half than they did in their own half. Newcastle were completely throttled. They had no momentum. They could get nothing going. They couldn't turn around. It was incredible how tight this Arsenal team was. Kivior scored, Havertz scored and had an assist. Rice had an assist. Saka scored. I think the Saka goal was really emblematic of like, this is what's wrong with Newcastle.
Yes, I agree. I just want to get to something before when you're done with your talking.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to look up. I was looking up a stat while you were talking, and this was the biggest thing that I think from this game is where'd it go? I'm going to have it. Touches in the opposition's box. Can you give me a guess on how many Newcastle had?
3.
It was under 10.
5.
9.
Yeah,
9.
Yeah.
9 touches in 90 minutes, guys, plus stoppage. You want to guess how many Arsenal had?
30. I don't even know.
48.
Jesus Christ.
48 touches. And that's exactly how this match felt. And I understand that when I say that Chelsea do the same thing and have all these touches in the box and everything, these are productive touches in the box for Arsenal. They actually get goals.
Yeah, they're looking like one. Arsenal is the first team in Premier League history to have 2+ goals in, what was it, 9 straight halves, 8 straight halves, or something like that.
I don't remember the stat.
Something insane like that. 2+ goals per half, not per game, per half.
Yeah.
In like the last 9 halves or something. It's insane.
Well, that makes sense. They've put up a lot of goals in the last 3 matches in general.
And you know what? Everyone's talking about how much goals they're putting up. And by the way, Arsenal now leads the league in goal difference, and that feels wonderful to say after 26 matches.
That's an insane thought.
Yeah, I know, right? But here's the stat that you were talking about. It's got the Athletic logo on it, although they're sourcing it from Opta. But this is what you're talking about. Since the start of 2024, so that's 7 matches. Newcastle have expected goals allowed of 20.5. West Ham at 14.4. Luton Town 12.6. Villa 11.2. United somehow only 10.3. Liverpool at an even 10. Everton at 7.7. That's that Sean Dyche effect, right? City at 6.8. Arsenal's at 1.9.
It's insane, guys.
That is. Shows. I don't know who scores against this fucking team. If it's not a consolation.
Yeah.
Realistically, who?
Oh, either the teams above them. That's really it. City or Liverpool.
We know how to shut down Haaland very well. You know, like City could maybe score against us. And we know how to. We know like Liverpool was nowhere near scoring against us. Even the Porto match, we did not look good offensively, sure, but look at what it took for them to score a goal.
Yeah, like a whole match practically.
You know, everyone's talking about, I don't know if Arsenal's going to have it. And I don't know if Arsenal's going to have it. I was here last year. I don't know that we're going to be able to go through. But what I can tell you is we have such a better front. And Timber's healthy now.
Yep.
Timber is back running on the field and doing stuff. And it is just, this isn't even our defense at its best. Kivior is probably our 4th. Timber, Tommy, Zinni, Kivior. He's our 4th choice for that left back position. He just made team of the month.
He should.
World is looking up. World is looking up.
Well, you got to look up in order to get to the top, baby.
Oh man, I'm excited. I don't understand. I don't understand how Newcastle fans do it. This has got to be so freaking disheartening for them.
Now, I know this is going to look real late into this, but for those of you who don't remember, Arsenal did lose that first match, and it was because of that last little 3 VAR check incidents. I meant to say this in the beginning. It doesn't really matter, but
still don't know how that's not a foul
honestly,
either.
it shows. This match shows that Arsenal remembered what happened and wanted to bury Newcastle fast and quick. And they did exactly that and manhandled every minute except for the one goal where I don't even think it was really their fault. It was just a really good counter into a well-headed Willock.
It was Willock, and it was incredibly well headed. It was unsavable.
Oh God, it was so.
And
It was
could not do it again if he tried. But it was a wonderful looping header, and he deserved it. That first goal, the goal in the reverse fixture, I still don't understand how that's not a foul. Fully pressing on the guy at the back of his head with both arms outstretched.
I don't either, man.
But anyway, yeah.
I'm not here to just pat you on the back and support you because, one, you're my friend, and two, you're an Arsenal fan. But that's it. It was insane that foul was not a foul for some reason.
Yeah.
Like they thought that he as in Gabriel or Saliba, I don't remember which one it was fake diving essentially.
He went down too soft.
Of course you're going to go down when you're getting pushed in the back by a 6'4".
Yeah, when you're getting pushed in the back of the head. Like what exactly are you expecting?
Oh, good God.
I don't know.
I don't get that, but that's old.
And no, for anyone who's decided to find the podcast now, by the way, please like and subscribe. But Aaron still doesn't even, Aaron's not like, oh yeah, Arsenal's winning the league. He doesn't have them winning the league. He has them finishing in third. So still though, with all these injuries that Liverpool has and how Arsenal's been playing, you still have them finishing third.
It's not looking great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, again, not saying favorites for league, not going that far, but third is. Again, Liverpool's been great. They're going for 4 again, which
good for them. God bless them. Go for it.
They had a better team 2 years ago. They had an absolutely better team 2 years ago. They're in the Europa League instead of the Conference League now, so I can understand. Oh, by the way, don't sleep in the Europa League. I don't know why they're doing it.
Because they can. And it's available to them. Look, if you're telling me I could put in 4 trophies in 1 year, I'm going for it.
You can't.
I'm not saying that it's good for them to do
City's never won the quad.
Yeah, well, City need to try harder, I guess.
Don't tell them that. Jesus.
No, I actually don't want that for them. But, it's still an incredible feat.
It is an incredible feat. And yeah, I know you should be going for it. I know that you should never try to lose anything. But right now, I'm really happy that we're not playing the FA Cup midweek.
Yeah. That's, yeah. What is...
Because we got 14 of those things. So...
Yeah, actually, I don't know where I was going to transition with this, but Everton. There we go. We'll just jump right into it. Everton have a
jump to 15th overnight.
Point reduction from their deduction. They were slapped with for those of you who don't remember, were slapped with a 10-point deduction early on in the season for profitability and sustainability issues and appealed. They won their appeal and got it down to 6 points now, which is a much better situation than they were.
It's 4 points. They got themselves a win.
Yeah.
And for a team that only has 8 wins, that's big.
Yeah. Well,
they essentially got themselves another win and a draw.
Right now they sit with 25 points. After gaining 4 points, they were sitting 21 points, which would have put them in 17th. This is big for them. I mean, if you're Sean Dyche and you got this news, you're calling a team meeting or right after training, whatever you do, I don't know. And you're just like, the league believes that we didn't do this as bad as we did. We are grateful for this. And guys, we're not in that bad of a relegation battle currently. I mean, we still sit with 25 points, and we need to do better.
I mean, so they're 5 points clear right now, which is huge. Really, I'm not sure saying 5 points clear is right because they do have. Really, they're 1 point clear of Forest, and they're even on points with Brentford. And you got to be seen as long as you beat them, you're fine. Luton Town, and again, I know we don't agree about whether or not Luton's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But right now you got to pretend Luton's the bear, and I don't need to outrun the bear. I need to outrun the people around me, and the people around me are Forest and Brentford.
Yeah, well, that's fair to say. And honestly, they're only a game. 3 points from getting above Crystal Palace, sitting 13th, because they have a better goal differential with -6, and the other two are 13 and 14, -13.
Yeah, right. When you look at it, if they had another 6 points, they should be 1 point behind Fulham in 13th right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good this team is.
Well, between that compared to last season and the season before that, yes, they're a much better team. I think they finally actually got a manager who knows how to put down an identity.
Make the most of the players he has.
Looking at you, Eric Ten Hag.
Looking at you, Mauricio Pochettino.
Ooh, also true.
Poch wasn't a good coach. He just had Kane and Son. There's a little bit of like, if you have Kane and Son and Lucas Moura having the year of his life,
yeah,
good enough. So
that's true.
All right.
So
there's going to be a public execution on the weekend, I hear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Manchester Derby, guys. If you want to see a public execution, a modern day one, go down to the beer garden.
I hate this because I need United to win this game. And I hate that. I want a draw. You know what? Just give me a draw.
I could live with that too. You know what? I was going to say, I'm not really sure which one I would really want because, look, Villa win, that's 55 points. It doesn't really get us, it gets us, 4 points closer if City lose. But then if United win, then they're only, I'm not going to do quick math. I'm just going to guess it's 7 points behind Villa.
I know you've lost to them twice. You can't be worried about United. At this point, the only people who can overtake Villa are Tottenham, and I'm still not sure of them.
Yeah, and I'm okay. You know what?
I think at this point, as comfortable as you could be, I want to know what are the bets on Villa being in a European spot? What are the odds? Because that's easy money to me.
I don't know.
Honestly, right now, Villa in a Champions League spot, because we did this last week. 5th for England gets a Champions League spot next year, right?
Yes, they do, yeah.
Yeah, I figure it out. I want to make some money.
Okay.
Because that's got to be, I believe, United's not going to get it together.
Run the executioner. Just go ahead and talk about this match while I look up the odds here.
All right. Is this match, I'm trying to get Sunday to load on FOTMob for me. It's taken forever.
Sorry, everybody.
Oh, yeah. It's at the Etihad. It's at 10:30. It is, Eastern time. So Gvardiol is out for City. Out for United, Højlund, Malacia, Mount, Shaw, Martinez, Martial, and Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a good situation for United.
Bad. 4 goals, at least, I think. Wonder what the over-under is on goals for this. I could see City putting 4 or 5 past them.
Okay, so top 4 finish. They don't give me European. They just give me top 4 finish. Villa are -110. Tottenham are +110. So they kind of have the same views. DraftKings.
Yeah.
Hey, DraftKings, if you want to sponsor us, that'd be really chill. I'm looking up your stuff right now. Yeah, they seem pretty high on.
I just, with the points that are being made and everything else, I don't understand. Villa have to be the favorites. I'm glad they're seen as the favorites.
I agree. Not that I have oh yes, I do have a stake in this game.
I mean, of course you do. I'll just,
odds
stuff. Yeah, odds and ends stuff.
Oh, I have. You know what? We don't. Do we really need to go over more of the Manchester Derby? To be honest, like, there's nothing. City are going to win. City are going to win big. United. Well, I think you had said earlier you think that Ten Hag could get fired after this match. You want to elaborate on that one a little bit?
I think that if they get beat bad enough, and the entire Etihad is singing do 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 do, I think it could get to the point where, yeah, they're done. I think they can move on. I don't think it's the right move. Not because I think that Erik ten Hag is the right manager. I feel like, again, it is that idea of, oh, hey, we fixed it. No, you didn't.
You just put
you
gum.
didn't fix it.
You just put gum to stick it together. It's really all it was.
You looked over at the wrong part, and that's the issue. That is not the problem that you have. Well, I don't trust them to do the right thing. They haven't done the right thing since Ferguson left. And quite frankly, the only time that Ferguson was there that they were doing the right thing, they being ownership, is because they stayed out of Ferguson's way.
It's true. I mean, that's essentially what the ownership for Villa have done too. They've just said, here, look, Unai, have fun. You know what you're doing. We've seen you do it time and time again. Go. Just run with your ideas. Run it past us to see if it's a yay or nay. But other than that, you've got full reins. Go.
Yeah.
And it's worked out pretty well for them this year. And bringing in the signings that they have and have sent out players that they have needed to send out to sustain profit and sustainability rights and stuff like that. So,
yep.
I'm just going to, we're done talking about this, to be honest. I don't really think there's much more to go on to this. I have a slight final thought because we're on Villa. We're talking about Villa a little bit. I am really freaking annoyed that Sky Sports, all the pundits and stuff like that, have only just the top three. And I get it that it's only a 2-point race between everybody. But Villa's right there, guys. They're not that far behind. They're 8 points from the top. And they're only a few points behind. And they always keep unhighlighting them. What is with the hate towards Villa? It bothers me so much.
All right. So I don't think it's a hate towards Villa.
It's that they want to drum up as much Arsenal and Liverpool and Man City, that trio hype. They don't want to make it a quad. They want to make it a trio. It's easy to market 3 than it is 4.
It's also, no offense, it's also more believable.
Well,
so look at Arsenal last year, right?
Go ahead.
So you had all of these people that didn't believe Arsenal was going to do anything. They were young, they were upstarts, but we had the pedigree, we had the money. Look at all the stuff we spent. We did all these things, and we still couldn't make it happen. So now we have Arsenal again.
Mm-hmm.
You have Liverpool, who's the only team that's managed to beat City, and then you have City. And then 8 points behind. What?
Only beaten City? Oh, do you mean the league? I'm sorry.
I mean, since City went on this whole thing,
I see what you're doing.
The only team that's been able to beat them at the top,
yes,
has been Liverpool.
I took it in a literal sense of
and Jurgen Klopp.
Yes,
and then
sorry.
Then no, Arsenal beat City. I'm still on that high.
And so is Villa.
I know, and it was great. and then you have Villa, who is good, but last year when they fired Gerrard, were what, 16th, 17th?
17th.
Yeah, and now they're this good. There's still the thought that they're punching way above their weight,
which is true. I believe that,
and they're still 8 points behind,
which is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's great, but you're asking why they're not considered on the top. The top 3 teams are separated by 2 points. Villa is 4 times behind that.
It's just funny. That's all. Because then it's like last season when they were creeping around 10, they would always show them in the bottom half. Do you know what I mean? Like, here's the bottom half 10 instead of showing them in the upper half 10. Do you know what I mean? And it just bothered me. But then if Chelsea was sitting at 10th, 11th, they're like, let's just leave them out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
I agree.
I'm a little...
I would love Villa to be up there. You know I don't have a problem with Villa. I'm so happy they're 4th.
Me too.
I don't see how Villa gain 8 points plus on Liverpool because they don't have the goal difference. So they have to gain 9 points on Liverpool and 8 points on City and 7 points on Arsenal. I don't see all 3 of those happening because to gain points, other teams have to trip up. At the end of the day, if Liverpool win out, it doesn't matter. Arsenal could win every game 8-0. Mm-hmm. If Liverpool win out, it doesn't matter. We need Liverpool and City to drop points. Yeah. City, we play them again, right? So we kind of hold our hands and, we kind of hold our destiny there. But I don't see how everybody else keeps that. You know what I mean?
It's okay. I just needed to get that off my chest, guys. It was
fair enough.
Well, I don't have my channel anymore, and that's okay. So I just needed to blow off a little bit of steam, guys. But
yeah, there's been a little bit of restructuring over at
Wicked Good.
Yep.
And that's okay. I understand. And I have this to blow a little steam off on my final thoughts here. Do you have any final thoughts, Rhett?
Just that Arsenal is right now the best team in the league at this moment, and that makes me very happy.
I mean, in the power rankings for NBC, they certainly say that. So,
oh my God, power rankings!
It's a power ranking. It's just current events. That's all it is. It's okay. We can live with it, guys. It's not because they have Wolves sitting 5th. And speaking of, hold on, I do want to talk about the Wolves for half a second. They are playing really well. Gary O'Neill does have them playing pretty solid. So I'm not saying that Bournemouth made a error in letting him go, but Wolves are talk about a team who's punching above their weight as Wolves, and they are sitting 8th, which is best that they've done since 2002 when they were around that way anyway. But they're a scary team if Pedro Neto gets going, and Chan Wang, I believe his name is, and they're a fast break team. They're not somebody to sleep on. They're at least, like, I'm not saying sleep on as in they're going to still sit 8th, but they will put up a fight against your team, whoever you support. So just don't write them off. That's all.
Wolves is scary for a lot of teams.
Oh, they've definitely
absolutely
boned a few clubs as far as throwing up some L's for them. But we've hit our hour mark, and I'm not saying that we should go because I'm sure everybody wants to hear us continue talking about more Premier League. But if we did,
no, man, the cricket's on.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to hear us next week. I'm just going to skip over that. Edit that out real quick. If you have hung around this long, we appreciate it. Thank you for listening to us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening on Spotify, 5-star us. We would greatly appreciate that. You don't understand how much it really does help the channel if you do like and subscribe and rate. So also, if you have friends, family who are Premier League fans, shout us out there for them. Bring
absolutely.
us that way. So this has been another episode of Swinging at Shins, your Premier League podcast. Have a nice day, everybody. Don't forget to tip your bar.
Peace.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Links for anything that you could be interested in, whether it's the YouTube channel, our podcast links, our social media links, everything's in the description below. Thank you very much for listening.